everybody. My name is Haley. I'm the Crisis Response Advocate for Oasis Advocacy and Shelter. This is my boss, Mary Pat. I can't pronounce her last name because honestly it's just a mouthful. But we are here today to talk about homelessness and health. So with that, the first question I would like to ask Mary Pat is barriers. It is a common word we hear a lot and a word that is very prevalent in our society nowadays. With that, what does the word barrier mean to you?
The word barrier? Well, the word barrier to me really just is something that's standing in the way of being able to accomplish something. It could mean, like when you drive down the road and you see a barrier in the road, you cannot continue. So, to me, a barrier is something that basically stopping you from being able to do what you want or need to do. And we're going to be talking about health and homelessness. A lot of times we're talking about people who need health care, who need resources, who need the ability to have an address to get medication, or they need insurance, or there's so many different things that can be considered a barrier for them to be able to accomplish what they need to be healthy and continue to work towards being able to be housed again.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because barriers to me is just as you described it, it's an obstacle. Now, in today's situation, when it comes to housing and health, there's a couple things that people really should know. For example, did you know that the homeless population often has a higher rate of illness and die 12 years on average earlier than the general U.S. population?
Okay, well, let's talk about why that is. Do you know why that is?
Well, I do. A couple of reasons is I can talk, I promise. Mainly, it's poor health as a major issue, such as employment problems and people who don't have funds leads to health issues that leads to homelessness because they cannot work, and then it becomes a vicious cycle. So that makes things really difficult for people to be able to get back into the workforce or even just find normal health benefits because of homelessness. It's actually very difficult.
Well, let's talk about here in Clay County.
Sure.
So in Clay County, we have two very good community providers for healthcare. Can you tell me who they are?
Curry Health Network, and I believe, nope, that's the only one I can
That's not what I mean. I'm talking about OHP.
Oh.
Who are OHP providers here in Clay County? But because each county has different OHP providers. So who are ours here?
You know, I don't actually know.
About health and all care. So both programs have some really fantastic resources available for people who are unhoused. I know that based on my experience when we work with them, both of them, they work really hard to provide resources. If someone is on the streets and they've experienced domestic violence, sexual violence, anything like that, and a shelter is built, then usually what they would do, they would work with the survivor to be able to be put in a hotel, and OHP will pay for it. Did you know that?
I did not.
So that's the resource that they use to work with them. Often people think of the agent as the first place to go for resources, but OHP provides a lot of great resources, and that I thought was important to talk about today too. I know that sometimes we will have someone who comes in the shelter, and everyone that in the shelter is considered homeless. So when they're in the shelter, they have all of these different barriers that they have, like you said today. We are talking about barriers, and some of them are trying to get off drug or alcohol, and they're trying to go sober, and a shelter is not the safe place to do that. So usually, we will work with OHP to see how they can transfer them out. We can work with them on placing them in a hotel for a few days, and often either we or OHP will work together to provide those resources for people who are trying to get clean. As many people probably don't realize, homelessness, domestic violence, and alcohol use, drug use and barely inch around. So I know that many of the people that we work with end up needing support and getting sober. So that's just something that I have always thought was really interesting about how OHP works with Oasis.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating thing to hear that there's actually providers out there that are interested in working hand in hand with not only the homeless population, but with survivors of domestic violence as well, especially given the fact that our survivors, as you said, are considered homeless by the state standards. And that's very important to know, because when you are considered homeless by the state standards, that does open up more doors for you than actually has them closed when you think about it. Because from what I understand, here in the state of Oregon, even just living in a travel trailer makes you be considered homeless.
Right.
As it's something that you've experienced, correct?
I agree, yeah. And that's also something else that we should talk about today, is that we talk about the percentage of people who are on the streets who have experienced domestic violence, sexual violence, trauma. I would say about 95% are survivors of trauma. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what we're working on in this community is clarifying what trauma really means and how each person is impacted by it. Unfortunately for us at Oasis, we're very limited in the scope of trauma services we can provide. But because of our partnership with Workers Core, we are working to expand that horizon while we are working together with Workers Core to make sure that people that don't necessarily fall under our scope of service, they're able to get additional resources and services. The same thing goes with the Homeless Coalition here in Clay County. Both programs are dedicated to working with people who have low income, who are homeless. And because of those resources, we know that there is a community here in Clay County that truly believes in supporting people that need and want to get out of homelessness. Now we know that there is a small number of people who are comfortable being unhoused, and that's their business, but that doesn't mean that they should not be provided with all of the health resources that they should be eligible for, right?
Yeah. Just because you're unhoused or because you choose to be unhoused, that doesn't mean that you don't have the ability nor the access to health needs. Especially, people, how am I trying to say this? My brain doesn't want to work today. For example, we'll call it like this. Homelessness itself is actually a dangerous health condition because I can talk, I promise, guys. Communicable diseases such as tuberculosis, the flu, hepatitis, and many others are oftentimes exaggerated because of the homelessness, because they're exposed to the cold, they're exposed to the wet, they're exposed to a variety of things that actually aggravates what's going on, and that's why people get so sick, is because they're exposed to these unfortunate conditions, whether it's by choice or by no choice. And it's something that people really struggle with. Because if you look at the facts, for example, one of the facts is compared to homelessness to housed people, homeless people that have diabetes are 18% more likely to have the diabetes versus people that are housed, which is at 9%. Same goes for HIV, people that are housed, 1%. People that are unhoused, 20%. Big difference. Now, for depression and substance use disorders, for depression, it is 8% for housed people, 49% for unhoused people, and for the homeless population in regards to the substance use disorders, it's 16% for the housed and 58% for the homeless population, which is very unfortunate to see, because these are not just conditions that people go through every day that are just tossed out there and you say, okay, good luck, have fun. No, these are serious conditions that need to be addressed in a serious manner.
Well, I do want to jump in here and ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you thought about maybe the priorities that people have being unhoused? Like, for example, if they have to choose between buying healthy food or cheap food, because financially they cannot afford to go and buy farmers market quality food, which
Yeah.
is like $7 for a bag of apple version, $7 for a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. So we have to think about again the priority. So when we talk about like diabetes, we're talking about depression, a lot of the chemicals that we have in our brain and how we're exposed to those chemicals ongoing through our food and how we're making poor choices. Now, do we really have a choice? Not so much. So it's just like people talk about obesity.
Yeah.
That a lot of it is not a choice, it's because of our body and how they react to the chemical that are in the food.
Yeah.
So if we think about things like that, let's go back to SUD, substance use disorder. Now let's talk about that briefly. A lot of homeless people use drugs. Do you know why?
To cope.
And
No, I'm not sure on the other answer.
okay, so some people on the streets, they need to stay up all night long to make sure they're safe at night because the night is actually the most dangerous time for them.
Yeah.
So if you're high and drunk, you're usually up and running. But if you're sober, you will fall asleep a lot faster. So a lot of women and children, women will go on things like methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
Yeah, thank you. See, I can't talk either. They'll go on meth or cocaine or those kind of drugs just to stay awake so that they can protect the house, they can protect the king, they can be expected, the unexpected. So for us to talk about priority, like again, the rebellion really plays a big part in there because they don't have that luxury or privilege to sleep in a sick bed. They're on the streets trying to make sure that they're not getting robbed or they're
Stabbed or
Right.
shot at. You have to be very careful because the streets are some of the most safest but dangerous things that people can walk. During the day, it might be safe. Someone could see you fall down and get hurt and they'll come to your aid. But at night, it's super dangerous because they could assume like, oh, there's some crazy person, they're gonna hurt me if I go help them. But that might not be the case. And that's a very unfortunate thing that we face today, not only in Curry County, but in the world in general. And that's a very real reality.
Right, so I think we're out of time for today, but mainly I think we come back to the word barrier and talk about all of the barriers that, well not all, but some of the barriers that the community faces when trying to navigate homelessness, especially thinking about how they can be safe and the labels that they face. So thank you for having me here today, Amy.
Thank you very much for coming on to this show, Mary Pat, show, podcast, whatever we want to call it. Thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, guys, and hope you have a wonderful day. All right, bye-bye.